Welcome back to Next Shift with Rick Wagan. Suzuki does not suck. This is the Monday morning after the Montreal Canadiens had back-to-back games in Montreal. The first one against the Toronto Maple Leafs, where the Montreal Canadiens lost 7-3. And then they faced the New York Rangers on Sunday and won the game 5-4. The Montreal Canadiens are now 12-3-1 in their last 16 games. The game against Toronto, they went off to a 3-0 lead in the first period. The Montreal Canadiens looked extremely strong. It was just a great start to the Montreal Canadiens game. They gave up a goal early in the second period to make it 3-1. And then goals late in the second on a power play, less than a minute left, made it 3-2. And then a quick goal early in the third made it 3-3. Looks like the Canadiens kind of lost control of the game. There was a lot of penalties. The penalty killing couldn't handle the power of Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and others. And the goaltending was not up to excellence, I guess I'll put it that way. And the Canadiens ended up losing 7-3. The game was closer than the scores. One of those goals was an empty netter. A couple of those goals were later in the third period. The Montreal Canadiens put a lot of pressure on Wall, the Toronto Maple Leafs goaltender. He made some incredible saves, one off the butt end of his stick on Suzuki, a couple others off of Caufield that were incredible. The Canadiens got out goaltendered, I would say. And they probably, lost. They learned that they have to play a different level of hockey towards the end of the second and early third against these elite teams. The Toronto Maple Leafs are still a better team than the Montreal Canadiens. They have, their top players are all in their prime. The Montreal Canadiens are probably better set long-term with the contract situation where they have Suzuki and Caufield and Slafkovsky and Guhle, all to very, very reasonable contracts. We'll see what Laine Hutson gets, and we'll see where Demidov falls in a couple of years as well. And they have a young goalie in the name of Jakub Dobes, who's playing some good hockey, and a guy named Jacob Fowler in the NCAA. Listen, kudos to the Toronto Maple Leafs for winning the game. They definitely, were able to put the puck in the net, and they did it a lot. The Canadiens, took a great 3-0 lead and definitely took the lead and played a good 30 minutes of hockey. But the last minute of the second onwards, they lost it. The Canadiens played solid, hard-nosed hockey those periods. They just made mistakes, and every time they made a mistake, they gave up a goal, or there was a shorthanded goal against, and they just couldn't stop the strength of the Toronto Maple Leafs on the power play. The next day, they come out. Fortunately, the game was right after, less than 24 hours later. They're in a hockey game against the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers are 5-0-2, I believe, in their last 7 games. So they're winning again. And the Canadiens took it to them. They did fall behind 1-0. They fell behind a couple more times in the game, and they just kept crawling back. It was 4-3 going into the third period. The Montreal Canadiens got a great goal by Slafkovsky, who received a rebound from Caufield's shot after Laine Hutson took it to the net with a 1-on-4 or 2-on-4 and opened up the play. So it was a great goal by the Montreal Canadiens to make it 4-4. And then in overtime, Jakub Dobes showed up and made at least one incredible save with his glove hand, just right in the slot, inside the hash marks. A great save by Dobes. And then a few seconds later, it was kind of a cross back-to-back pass, and he came across with his right pad and made another save. Canes then took no time after that, and Guhle, along with Laine, kind of went on a 2-on-3 or so, and Guhle took it outside and hit Laine going to the net with an empty netter to win the games. The Montreal Canadiens take 2 points over the weekend. This stretch, if you recall, we talked a little bit about the games from December 28th all the way to now and to the end of January. They're going to all be tough. They started in Florida with games in Tampa and Florida or Miami, and then they went to Vegas, and then they went to Chicago and Colorado, then they played home in Vancouver, then they went to Washington, then home in Dallas, went to Utah, went to Dallas again. Now they're home against Toronto and New York. They're going to be playing against Tampa on Tuesday. They're going to Detroit on Thursday, and then they're home again for 3 more games against the Devils, Winnipeg Jets, and Wild. These are all tough teams to play. The Montreal Canadiens are now 9-2-1 in the first 12 of those games. There's 5 more to go, so there's actually 17 games that I'm talking about. If they can win 2 or 3 of those, and they probably need to win 3 to stay in the mix or stay close to the mix, they're going to be right there and fighting for a playoff spot. The Montreal Canadiens have now officially passed, well, they're tied with the Boston Bruins, but they're passed because they do have a game in hand. They're 1 point behind the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are at 51 points in the same amount of games. They're 2 points behind the Ottawa Senators, who are at 52 points and the same amount of games. They're 3 points behind the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are in third place, and Montreal Canadiens have played 2 fewer games. They are only 7 points behind the Florida Panthers, and Montreal Canadiens do have a game in hand. So they're only, if they win that 1 game in hand, they're 5 points behind second place in the Eastern Conference, or the Atlantic Conference, I should say, and only a few points behind the Toronto Maple Leafs. So kudos to Montreal Canadiens. They've been playing some great hockey. Listen, let's just run through the lineup. The first line, Suzuki has just taken it to that next level. Definitely had a slow start in October, but still got some points. I think lately he's just been playing some tremendous hockey. Got a great intercepted goal last night against the Rangers. Caufield has been the most consistent forward on the team, continues to get goals, continues to get points. Both of those players are close to or above a point a game. Suzuki's at 47 points in 46 games. Caufield's at 44 in 46 games, 24 goals, 20 assists, an outstanding start. And then Laine Hutson, 35 assists, 38 points, 46 games. He's getting a point a game. He's on an 8-game point streak. That's after a 7-game point streak. Both of those are records for the Montreal Canadiens rookie defenseman. The only player that done that before, I think, was Chelios or Curvers, got 6. So kudos to Laine Hutson as well. And Slafkovsky, he's playing some solid hockey now. He's inconsistent. He's 20 years old. He's playing some outstanding hockey. Got a great goal. Found last night's game in New York, he was hitting everything that moved. So kudos to the first line. They've been playing great hockey. And let's kind of bleed it to the second line. Laine is a scorer. I haven't been overly impressed with his play, definitely on the defensive side or even on the 5-on-5 play. He looks a little bit slow. He is moving, but he's a slow moving kind of short. He does everything in slow motion. But the guy scores goals, and he has an elite shot. And so he's going to be an important player on the team, and he's not hurting the team on the second line. And Doc is playing some of his best hockey since prior to his injury. And Newhook is actually skating and doing some good things. Still makes some mistakes the way he passes the puck. Not the highest IQ player, but he's got a great shot. He needs to start scoring more. He got a ton of opportunities against the Rangers. So kudos second line. The third line of Gallagher, Anderson, and Dvorak had a great game against the Rangers. Not as good against Toronto, but they are playing just very consistent hockey, solid two-way hockey. They're an energy line that brings it every game. And Evans and Armia continue to play a solid defensive game. I think they've fallen off a little bit on the offensive side since they lost Heineman. They had Pizzetta and they've had different line mates. On Sunday, the Montreal Canadiens brought up Owen Beck. Owen Beck looked like he was trying not to make any mistakes. He didn't really wasn't a factor in the game, but he definitely didn't look like he was going to cause a problem. Pizzetta kept getting penalties every game. At least he didn't do that. He wasn't on, I don't believe, for any major goals against that looked like it was his fault. So, he wasn't on for any goals against, so it wasn't his fault. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Owen Beck play a little bit more hockey in the NHL level. I don't think he's a winger long term, so it'll be interesting how he kind of pans out. On defense, Guhle and Carrier are just playing outstanding hockey. Over the weekend, I thought Matheson was really good against the Rangers, not so good against Toronto. As much as I hate to say it, how Matheson goes is a lot of times how the Montreal Canadiens go, because when he's not playing well, it kind of exposes Hutson. And Hutson was not good on Saturday defensively. He kept, he did his thing offensively like he always does. But there was 2 or 3 times he got out-muscled. Nylander kind of got a breakaway against him and scored. There was a couple other plays he didn't play that well. The kid turned the page, though, on Sunday. And he, against some of these big forwards on the Rangers, he just was solid defensively and did his thing offensively. So, listen, he's 20 years old. He's going to get stronger. He definitely looked a little outmatched in the Toronto game, but that was the first time in weeks that he looked that way. And again, great game on Sunday night against the Rangers. Outstanding game by Hutson and Matheson. And then Jack Guy took on Rempe. I don't think he wanted to fight at that point, but once he wanted to fight, it was a good battle and he won that fight. So kudos to Jack Guy, and he did some good things. He did give up a terrible turnover in his own end that ended up being a goal by Guhle. You know what? Jack Guy's playing good hockey. Savard is playing good hockey. Can't fault the two players. Montembeault was average on Saturday night. Dobes was average on Sunday until late in the third and in overtime, where he actually stepped it up, and his nickname, the Gamer, is proving to be what he is. Kudos to the Montreal Canadiens for a great weekend. They lost one, won one. They go against Tampa on Tuesday. I anticipate Montembeault will start the game. We'll see. Dobes could start. He doesn't not deserve to start, but he's on a day's rest, 1 day rest. So I think they probably play Montembeault on Tuesday, and then they go to Detroit on Thursday. I anticipate that Dobes will get his shot on Thursday, and then after that, it's Saturday night at home against the Devils. I guess we'll see who starts that one, depending on those two games. Looking forward to the rest of the week. What do you guys think? Suzuki does not suck. This was Next Shift. Talk to you guys soon.